So recently, my son Dustin, Blaise, and we just went up to Montana in the U.S. To chase animals, basically, and draw them. It's so important to me to see animals in the wild, to see them in their natural habitat and draw them from life so that I can understand their form, I can understand their environment, I can understand where they sit, in our world a little bit more accurately. It's much better to do that than to go on Google, let's say, and try to pull imagery from there. When I go to Montana or some of the other places around the world, I'm always getting a sense of place. I'm smelling the smells and seeing the sights and hearing the sounds and feeling the wind on my face. All of these things add up to an experience that fill my visual library. I'm always talking about that visual library that you fill over time as an artist. There's nothing better than finding a valley full of bison in Yellowstone National Park and sitting on a rock, pulling out my sketchbook and just drawing. Now, very often, I'm not there to draw big, beautiful drawings. I want to get a sense of their proportions. I want to get a sense of their shapes. I want to see what they look like in 3 dimensions. What are some of the poses that they take? What are the textures? All those things that you might get in a photograph, but then you might not. Photographs are 2-dimensional. They're flat, and sometimes they'll lie to you. And so when I'm sitting there from life, and it's 35 degrees outside, and I'm freezing, and I'm smelling the fresh air and hearing the bison grunting and seeing them root around, that's a different experience. And that, for me, adds up to something that is going to help me create something that's much more accurate as an artist. And so I like to sit there and fill as many pages as I can with these small gestures. Sometimes I use a brush pen, sometimes I use a ballpoint pen, but it's all about just finding the gesture, finding different shapes that are going to help me describe what these animals look like. On this trip, we were lucky enough to come across a black bear right next to the road that really just hung out and sat and posed for us the whole time. So while there was a whole bunch of photographers along the side of the road, I was able to sit there with my sketchbook and draw. On this trip, this was the first time where I had my son be the photographer, and Dustin shot thousands of photos while I was able to sit and just observe and draw. Now, one of the other things we did that's another great option, while we were in Bozeman, Montana, we went to the Animals of Montana, Inc. Now, Animals of Montana, Inc. is just a wonderful game farm that our friends Troy and Megan run. We spent an entire day there, 8 hours, where even though it was raining, we were able to set up a stage in an enclosed area, and Troy, the trainer, would bring out individual animals for us to sketch and draw. Now, this is a very special opportunity, and it takes work to do it, but it's because of what we do as animal artists. It's very important for us. I'm very dedicated to the art of animal drawing, animal art. And so for me, this is a necessary practice to keep my skills up, to understand the anatomy, that sort of thing. So on this particular day, we sat with baby foxes. We sat with young coyotes, full-grown coyotes. We also sat with a cougars, a 400-pound black bear, a black leopard. We had all kinds of animals that were brought out, paraded in front of us. They were very happy, posed very well. The wolves were beautiful, and we sat and we drew. And on this particular day, I had my son, Dustin, photographing the whole time. I was able to sit and draw and actually filled 23 pages in my sketchbook because I was able to just sit there, observe, and draw. If you can do this, it helps so much when it comes time to sit and start to come up with ideas for paintings. If you want to draw from your head, you can start to do that over time because you've sat and observed. for hours and hours. And this is something that I've done for the last 20 years. I've sat, or 25 years, I've sat and tried to observe and draw from life as often as I can. And then I couple that with my photography. This is what's important for me as an animal artist. In conclusion to all of this, I just want to say how important it is to get out there and get into nature, see the animals for yourself, track them down, smell the smells, feel the wind on your face, all of that, because that experience will make its way into your work, and your work will have that much more believability. It'll suck the audience in even more, and you'll have a story that you'll be able to tell anybody that wants to talk about your art. So get out there, put some beauty back into the world, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.